James Trusty, our trusty lawyer, as he's a former DOJ prosecutor, has been following this case closely. Based on your experience, could this delay be about anything in particular, or about nothing, or what could it be?
Yeah, it really could be anything. I mean, we all like to think that trials are well-oiled, well-choreographed machines that just sail from A to Z perfectly. In my experience, it doesn't usually happen that way. And this is a very activist judge. He's had a lot of micromanaging that he's tried to employ, and there may be some issue about that. There may be an issue with a juror. It's just really hard to tell from the outside. We may or may not ever find out, but I don't think it means anything particularly significant, at least not automatically.
What about the judge's instructions to the jurors not to talk to each other? Is that typical, or is this in particular, because this case is so high profile, he maybe needed to emphasize it again?
I think the more that the judge picks up on the fact that the case is a high-profile case, the more likely they're going to, admonish the jury every day to be careful not to talk about it. Now, you say that, and I think Steve Ducey's right. There's probably a daily admonition to not talk, but there may have been some little tidbit that got back to the judge. Sometimes somebody in the courthouse says, I saw two jurors and they seemed like they were having an argument at lunch. And so, they could have been talking about a Redskins game, but the bottom line is that might get back to chambers and the judge might feel the need to be more forceful about that approach.
And of course, Steve Ducey always likes the credit, but that was Peter Ducey, actually, with that report.
I'm sorry,
I make that same mistake all the time. Okay, so we're day 9 of this trial. The judge obviously is trying to speed things along. He wants to get this done. How do you think things look for the prosecution at the end of this week?
Well, I haven't been in the courtroom, so I don't want to overstate my certainty, but I think there's been enough from the public reporting to give a sense that the jury is really getting some pretty solid information, that it's not all about Gates, that there's pretty good paperwork, pretty good corroboration, a number of people, although immunized, that come in and tell stories that are pretty hard to challenge. So if I were, supervising a case like this, I would probably be talking about, whether we get a conviction or whether we have some sort of juror problem that leads to a hung jury. But I don't think 12 people are necessarily going to agree to acquit after all this evidence.